Okay, so let's talk about group items. So when would you use a group item? Or what is a group item first, I guess, huh? So a group item is a item that you choose that pre-fills in for you several items that go into that group. Okay, so when would I use this? We have a customer who does dental work for the US government. Okay, so they go up, they set up these little pop-up dentist offices. People from, different government entities can come in and have dental work done on site. And then, they pack up their little pop-up dentist office and go back to the warehouse. So when they are shipping product out, right, to these little pop-up dentist office, it's not like they kit it ahead of time. They don't put it together ahead of time. They put it together based on how many people are going to be showing up at the dentist office, or how many people are expected to show up. So they have a group item so that they can say, for one person, we expect to have to bring, so many clamps, so many cleaning, little packages, so many pieces of gauze, etc. Obviously, I don't like going to the dentist. I don't know that much about it. So you have all of those different things that you would bring per person. And then let's say we're expecting 50 people to show up. You change the group quantity to 50, and it updates all those expected quantities that you need to go and pull off the shelf. Okay, so a group item is different than an assembly part, because a group item doesn't hold a quantity or value, right? I say I have a kit, I have a dental kit, I have one of them. It doesn't hold the value or quantity at the dental kit level. It holds it at the components that go into the kit. How much gauze do I have? How many cleaning containers, etc., right? In an inventory assembly, you build the kit ahead of time. So the components go away, the quantities of the components go away, and you hold the quantity and value at the kit level. Okay, so an assembly is different than a group in that way. Where we use groups a lot is, again, when we don't want to maintain the finished good inventory quantity on hand. Okay, we use groups a lot for people who do custom build to order. Okay, because again, if I am in QuickBooks and I set something up as an assembly, right, then the assembly item, finished good item, is going to hold a average value. So if you have custom products, so let's say I have cars as an example. We do have people who do cars through QuickBooks, or manufacture cars. Not manufacture necessarily, more like customized cars. So they have a car, right? And they manufacture the car sits out there on the lot. But then all of the additional options that come with the car, they don't build that into the assembly, because it could be this one car, right? I assembled it and I have, fancy sports seats and upgraded, paint color and all this stuff. This one car could cost $20,000. But then the standard model costs $10,000. And if I do it as an assembly, QuickBooks is going to take the average of those two and value each at $15,000, which could be a problem. Of course, you do have FIFO kind of in enterprise, not kind of, you do have FIFO in enterprise, and you kind of could maybe get it to work where, you make the first car, you sell it, you make the second car, you sell it. So it keeps the values kind of flowing correctly there. But realistically, what we want to do is we want to have that base model car be the inventory assembly, is $10,000, and then all the options we use group items. Okay, because also the other thing is the base model car is sitting out there, right, on the warehouse shelf or on the lot, and we don't add the additional options until the customer orders them, right? So that custom paint and the special upgraded seats, I have those in inventory separately. They're sitting in inventory with quantities, how many custom seats I have, how many gallons of paint. They're sitting in there with quantities separate from the base car. until I decide to build it for this customer, right? So that's again where we would potentially use group items for those options. That's what we suggest to our customers. Okay, enough theory. So let's talk about how to create a group item. So we go to lists in our items list. Usually group items are towards the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to say item new, and we're going to create a group item. So again, group items don't hold a quantity on hand, do not hold a value on hand. When you sell them, you cannot run a report inside of QuickBooks. It's kind of difficult to get there for how many of this group I've sold. Okay, we have some kind of workarounds for that. And we can use some of the other reporting tools in Enterprise or build a report around it. But inside of QuickBooks, right, it's thing to think about is that you're not going to run a report to say how many group items did I sell, of this group item. It's going to be how many of the components inside the group item did I sell. Okay. So let's just go ahead and make a test group item. Group item name, you can give it whatever name you want. Make sure that it's something that's meaningful to your team. Barcode number, if you're an enterprise, you can associate barcodes with this. Where I've seen people use barcodes, again, for groups, is that maybe we have, we sell tea saucers and we sell a sugar container and a container of tea. But then when we bundle them all up together, we put them in a nice little package, that we have them set up in there as a group. So we scan the group instead of just scanning each individual item, or need to open it up and scan each individual item. Okay. So we can use a barcode number. The description is important, especially if you're not going to print your items in the group, because the description is what the customer is going to see. So really big group item things. Okay. All right. So again, print items in group. If you do print the items in the group, the customer will see the details of the group. If you just want the customer to see, the group name and the description, you leave that unchecked. Okay. Now remember also, this is not something where you can leave it unchecked and print it internally, but then check it and print it for external use, right? So if you are going to be printing out packing slips, as an example, you need to have the print items in groups showing up there, so that when you print out the packing slip or the pick ticket, that the warehouse people see all the parts that go into the group. Okay. All right, so down below here, we want to choose which items are going to go into this group. This is a default item, a default quantity. Notice that there is not a price on here. Okay, so the price that's going to be pulled when you fill in the group is going to be the price that is set up at that item level. So at custom work, we have a sales price. That's going to be the default base price. Okay, so I'm going to add service part. I'm going to go ahead and add a inventory part. Notice with I have multiple units of measure. You can change the units of measure if you want. And I'll just add one more part on here. With groups, you can't do a group within a group. I can add non-inventory parts, other charges. I can add subtotal items. This is something that's really important in there. I can also add discounts, right? So maybe a customer, they have the ability to buy a Desert Stone finish on their own, but if they buy it in a group with electrical wire and custom work, then we get a discount for it. Okay, so this is a way to kind of, in the group, affect the discount. So in the discounts, in here, you can have a couple things. So if I set the discount up, I can have a fixed percentage, right? And then say it goes to, sales sales discounts, which I don't have set up, so I'm just going to set it to sales for now. Okay. Now the subtotal and the discounts are important in there. I'll show you what it looks like though. So we can add some custom fields to groups if you need to. You can also add some notes to groups if you wanted to keep some internal notes on this item. So, oops, I already have one called the test group. So now that I have test group 2, let's see what it looks like on a sales transaction. So I'm going to go ahead and just start with an invoice. So right now I have it in a really high resolution, right? So we can be kind of high def, but I'm going to use this to expand my screen here. So I'm going to choose a customer, okay? And then in the items area, I'm going to say we're choosing test group 2. All right, so I have test group 2. Notice it pre-fills in for me all of this information. And what's nice about it is that, okay, so custom sale doesn't have a price, but let's go ahead and put $50 in there. What's nice about it is that I have the prices all broken out individually. Then because I can add a subtotal item in here, I can subtotal it and then give them a discount because they're buying it in a group, okay? With groups, you can also change things on the fly. So let's say we weren't going to use the indoor electrical wire this time. We're going to use the ground outdoor wire this time. I can change that. I can also right click and insert a line. So let's say they had some custom work, but they also had some service work in here. I can add in additional fields as needed, right? Okay, so the group is kind of like my default. You want to set the group up to be inclusive, right? You want to say, here's what the standard option 1 add-on package to the car that we have, but the customer can modify it. Okay. The other thing is that when you're dealing with the group items, so you want to make sure that, or you can also delete, right? So I can right click and delete this one out of here. You can add multiple groups onto one transaction as well. So again, we have a customer who makes, they make a product that goes out onto ships to do some cleaning on major ships that are out in the ocean. And so every time they put together, they can sell things like the pump, the wash, the oil individually, or they can sell it as a group and the customer gets a discount, right? So that's why they have their group items set up in here. So frequently they'll come in and they'll insert additional lines for this group. They'll take out additional lines, but then the customer still gets a discount because they're buying, several things in a group. So when we look at this, if I do a print preview, I have to put a location, sorry. These enterprise files, when you have your multiple locations, it requires. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and say print. All those pop-ups. So in here, I have it set up just to show the individual item, right? So the customer does not see the details. If I were to print a packing slip, I wouldn't see the details. I just see the individual item and the final price. So that's nice with group items, right? The other thing that you can do though is at the item level. So if I go to test group 2, I can choose to print the items. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this line. So to reset it, you have to completely reset. So I'm going to say test group 2, fill it in here. Again, fill in my sites. And then when I say print preview now I see all of the details. This one's kind of funny with the printing, but I see all the details, all of the quantities, right? All of the items that show up in there. I see all those details now. Okay, so you can choose to print the items in the group as well. If you're having a hard time determining if it should be a inventory item or assembly or a group item, or how should we set this up, that's kind of, what our specialty is to help customers with that and talk through and go through the different scenarios. So definitely give us a call and we can help you guys make those decisions. But good baseline, going back to a good baseline is this something that is going to be assembled and put on the shelf? And I need to know how many of, car with option 1 package versus car with option 2 package I need on the shelf. Or is this going to be something that is built to order, where the customizations come when the customer orders it, and I just keep the base level, cars out there on the shelf or on the lot. Okay. If you have those build to order scenarios, use assemblies to get your base level products, that base car, and then use the group items on the sales transaction to add the additional customizations. All right, good luck with group items.